Rolex remains the best-known brand of luxury watches, celebrated for its top-notch materials, distinctive design, reliable performance, and its high prices. Long sought out by celebrities and serious watch collectors, Rolex prices that reflect its desirability. So if you're curious about the most expensive Rolex watches and why some commanded those seven-figure sums, don't skip the video and watch till end, so before starting don't forget to subscribe. GMT Master 2 Ice. It's famed as the watch worn by blinged-out soccer star Cristiano Ronaldo during the Dubai International Sports Conference in 2020. This variation on the GMT Master 2 is made in 18K white gold covered in nearly 30 carats of diamonds over its case, bracelet, dial, and bezel. Sold for $485,350. The James Bond 1972 Submariner. Worn by Roger Moore when he played James Bond in 1973's Live and Let Die, this Submariner boasted a bezel modified to look like a saw, since the screenplay dictated that Bond use it to cut a rope during the movie. In the film's plot, it also had a magnetic field that was strong enough to unzip the dress of a Bond girl. Sold for $365,000, signed on the back by Roger Moore, this Submariner set a record price at auction in 2015. Even though it was so heavily modified for the movie that it no longer tells time. The Arabian Night Daytona reference 6263, made in 1974, probably as a special order for a member of Middle Eastern royalty, this stainless steel Daytona had a black face, distinguished by Arabic Indic numerals, sold for $1.931 million. Stainless steel reference 4113. Pink gold reference 6062. A two-way tie for 10th place. The oversized 1942 stainless steel chronograph that represented one of only 12 examples of the 4113 reference ever made, and a 1952 pink gold triple calendar with star-set stellene numerals and a moon phase. Both sold for the same price on the same day at the same November 2019 auction in Geneva. Sold for $1.945 million each. Marlon Brando's Apocalypse, now GMT Master, worn by Marlon Brando during the filming of Apocalypse Now, this 1972 reference, 1675. A black dial worn on black strap, this GMT Master is also notable because at the request of director Francis Ford Coppola, Brando removed the bezel so its glitter would not draw undue attention to the watch during Colonel Kurtz's scenes. Brando also carved his name on its back, sold for $1,952,000, stainless steel reference 6062, with the same reference as the famous bow die. This 1953 model was one of only 3 Rolex references to feature a moon phase, a relatively pricey complication more common to reserved for dress watches, and experts estimate that only 200 to 300 were ever made. Here, the triple calendar moon phase is married to a waterproof oyster case, creating a hybrid that brought nearly $2 million when it was auctioned in 2017. Sold for $1,988,000, Oyster Soto Cosmograph Daytona, reference 6263 rare. Because of its tropical Paul Newman dial in chocolate brown and its red minute track, this 1969 stainless steel chronograph brought well over its estimate when it was auctioned by Philips in May of 2016. Sold for $2.036 million. Anti-Magnetique. Reference 4113 Rolex has been an active sponsor of racing events since the 1930s and gifted the Anti-Magnetique watch to a select group of racing teams and drivers. Only 12 of these reference 4113 were made, and only 8 are believed to still exist. Encased in stainless steel, the 44 enamel dial of this 1942 watch features raised pink gold Arabic and baton hour markers with a subtle patina. The bezel has a mirror-polished finish, contrasting brilliantly against the case. As this watch was never for public sale, it well coveted by collectors and was sold in 2016 for nearly $2.5 million. The Neanderthal Daytona, reference 6240. According to the Robb Report, this watch achieved its price at the Philips May 2017 auction in Geneva because of its oversized subsidiary dials and unusual colour combination. made in 1966 with a pre-Paul Newman dial, hence the Neanderthal nickname. This represents the first cosmograph with screw-down chronograph pushers, a detail that enhanced the timepiece's water resistance. Sold for nearly $3.01 million. The legend Daytona Oyster reference. 6,263, a yellow gold Paul Newman with screw-down pushers made in 1969. This Daytona was one of the earliest 6,263 ever made. For many years, its very existence was debated among watch collectors, hence its nickname the legend. And it sold for more than 3 times the estimate when it finally came up for auction in Geneva in 2017. Sold for nearly $3.718 million. Baodai reference. 6,062. Owned by the last emperor of Vietnam's Nguyen dynasty, the Baodai made the list of most expensive Rolex watches because it was the rarest configuration of Rolex's 6062 model. During a peace negotiation recess in 1954, the Nguyen emperor asked a Rolex retailer for the rarest Rolex available. Sold for $5 million, made with 18K yellow gold, the watch features diamond indexes as well as a triple calendar with moon phase indicators. Of the 3 models known to have existed, the Baodai has its diamond indexes on the even hours, rather than the other 2 watches with diamond markers on the odd hours. The diamond marker at 12 o'clock forced the trademark Rolex crown to be located below the diamond index, making it the only dial of its kind known in the world. Aurel Bax, senior consultant for Philips in association with Bax and Rousseau, called this timepiece a work of art. It's part of what the 20th century culture is made of. It's what we, mankind, jointly want to hold on to, and it would absolutely make sense to put it in a museum where the best of the 20th century is reunited. It's really a landmark of the 20th century industrial design. The emperor thoroughly enjoyed the watch over the years until he died in 1997. The Baodai has exchanged hands only once in 2002, achieving a record-breaking auction price of $235,000 at the time. This past May, the Baodai sold for an impressive $5,060,427 and remains as one of the most significant collector watches in the world. Unicorn Daytona. Reference 6,265, made in 1970. Earned the nickname Unicorn because it was the only model made in 18K white gold, at a time when the Daytona was usually made in stainless steel. That rarity meant that when renowned watch collector John Goldberger put the watch up for auction at Philips in Geneva in 2018, it achieved a price of nearly double the original $3 million estimate. Goldberger then donated the proceeds to charity, sold for $5,900,000. Paul Newman's Cosmograph Daytona topping the list of most expensive Rolex watches is Paul Newman's Daytona. This watch stands as the most iconic of all Rolex Daytona watches, auctioned at a record-breaking $17,752,500. The watch was purchased by Paul Newman's wife as she worried about him getting into an accident due to his passion for motor racing. She had the watch's case back engraved with "Drive Carefully Me," an equally loving and humorous gesture. Jeff Hess, CEO of Analog Shift, stated, "This watch appeals to people way beyond the watch world. It of course attracts those who love and admire motorsports and cars. It also appeals to people who love Hollywood memorabilia. It's also a piece of Americana, so it appeals to the American history community." The watch's dial is dark brown, which contrasts its white outer trim, features an Art Deco font, blackened red minute track, and square ends on its subdial markers. This extraordinary timepiece has perfectly captured Paul Newman's iconic style, making it one of the most desired watches among vintage collectors. Sold for $17,752,500.